Hello and welcome to my video on interaction limitations and how best to work around them. As with all role-playing games, there are certain limitations to the degree of roleplay that game can provide. That is, with scripts or general resources of the game, there are limitations. And there are ways to best work around those limitations. In this video, I will be going over our limitations as a Zeus team, and I will be demonstrating different ways to try to work around them to provide the best possible content for you as a player and your section as a section IC. For this showcase, I will be going over a typical scenario of a section seeking out civilian interaction content on a standard night. That would being the standard resources which a Zeus team would have on a typical night, and the ratios associated with using those resources a Zeuser must consider and potentially a section IC should consider in order to get the best out of each night. Typically, Zeus teams have in total 5 to 6 Zeusers on a well-staffed night. That means that they can directly control 5 to 6 different entities at any given point to do interactions or enhance AI fighting capability. In this scenario, we'll be just looking at them providing interactions. In this situation, a Zeus or a whole Zeus team can only provide 5 to 6 different characters at a time when they have 6 sections that are possibly seeking out interaction content on a given night. This is where the ratios come into effect. A good ratio is when a Zeuser is able to entertain a whole section of 8 packs and give them civilian interaction content. A bad situation would be if the section would split up, because then that would decrease the ratio to 1 to 2 or 1 to 1. In those situations, it means that more people are left seeking content, and the Zeus resources haven't been adjusted in order to compensate for that. As we can see here, the section has split up into groups of 2, IC and 2 IC talking, and then the private's being split up into groups of 2 seeking out interactions. In this situation, remembering that the Zeus team only has the resources to play 5 to 6 characters at a time with 6 sections to entertain, you're only commonly going to have a 1 Zeus interaction on a night and during these times of content. So what you can see here on the left, you've got an interaction going, but on the right you can see you've got the privates trying to interact with voiceless men. This is a result of seeking out interactions, but also a result of poor AI placement by the Zeusers, placing down too many visible AI and not having the resources to reasonably play them. As a result, immersion has been broken. Half the section is interacting with voiceless men that won't respond to what they're doing, and on the left you've got 1 meaningful interaction going on, only providing 2 people content, resulting in a ratio of 1 to 2, and so a minority of the sections actually got decent content, while the majority has just had their immersion broken. Now, I will be transitioning into what a more experienced Zeus team would do to compensate for this, and is currently what we do. This is the current structure more experienced Zeus teams will produce, and it's what you're likely to encounter on the current deployment. In this situation, the Zeuser making this marketplace has realised that his Zeus team doesn't have the capability to play a large amount of characters for one particular section. He knows that 1 Zeus interactions are common, 2 Zeus interactions are uncommon, and 3 Zeus interactions are rare by the ratios. And as such, they've placed only 2 visible AI down, where the section would have encountered this one first, and it would be delayed getting to the second possible character, giving a Zeuser more chance to embody that character and make an interaction. However, As you can see, visibly, majority of the market is completely empty. This is a result of our limitations, and the second interaction is likely to have little depth, as Azusa has had to quickly jump in to make sure that the player's immersion isn't broken. The IC and 2IC is still talking here, and two people are on close security, watching over the market as well. This is great in terms of the immersion of the people actually doing the interactions. However, other sections looking in the market will just see an empty market, and it's not great aesthetically, and a more developed structure would actually resolve this issue, and I will go on to that shortly. After speaking to more experienced people in the unit than myself, I would come up with a proposed structure. In this scenario, the section has again been split up into groups of two. The IC and 2IC in a position to overhear the interaction and gather in any important intel exchanged. The privates enjoying the interaction. You have your close security just dominating the initial area around, providing security for the interaction. And then you've got a small patrol providing your outer security that will make sure that you've got you can intercept any possible enemy combatants looking to disrupt or engage your Blue 4 trying to interact. In this scenario, thinking about the ratios, only one Zeusa is required to entertain a whole section. It's a good ratio. It's a 1 to 8. As the section is maintaining their certain roles and allowing their section to be rotated through the interactions, it means that the one Zeusa that actually made this place can play each of the different characters, just putting on a different voice. As it's the same Zeusa that created this market, he knows what each character's backstory is, and a secondary Zeusa doesn't have to quickly jump into a character and make something up on the fly. This means there is increased content depth. As a Zeusa, once this interaction has finished, can easily jump to this one and play this character. The section IC then rotates the section through the interaction, making the close security or the outer patrol the interacting body, transferring the interaction party to either close security or outer, and maintaining the same format. Therefore, you've now had two interactions, and you're now controlling the way interactions are rotating through your section. There's no luck involved, it's merely up to the IC to decide who is going to get the next interaction. An additional benefit of this scenario is that it also allows secondary Zeusas to create their own characters with further content depth and then introduce them into the interaction. This will produce a 2 Zeusa interaction in a fully controlled manner, which will then ensure content depth and also increase the realism and liveliness of the environment in such a way that doesn't overwhelm the Zeus team on the night. Another benefit of this proposed structure is it allows the Zeus team to make a more visibly pleasing and aesthetic marketplace for additional sections to look at and see the section interacting with. They no longer have to compensate for their lack of resources, only spawning down 2 people and producing a nearly deserted market. They can now develop more on these markets and again make a more realistic environment for the infantry to interact with. So that is my proposed structure. I hope you do give it some thought. I generally think it will increase our content quality and make sure that the content we do provide is fairly distributed to all the people that we're on tonight. My name's Barton, I'm part of your Zeus team, and I hope you have a very good day.